let's start basically with talking about Jordan and kind of give an introduction to him, kind of his past history of training, kind of what he does, and kind of go from there, shoot from the hip and whatnot, kind of see where it takes us.
Yeah, like full improv at a certain point.
So yeah, we're just talking. So
Yeah, we're just chatting for the most part. People seem to like it too.
Yeah.
You know, it just gets into a different groove or something. It's more real.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Right on.
Not too scripted.
yeah. Awesome.
Get
Hey,
started.
Let me check what episode we're on before we start this, so I can like, give a good like. Yeah, we do.
What episode is this? It's 22. No, sure enough, it's 23.
This one's 24.
It's 24.
This one will be at work.
All right.
Wait, no, sorry, 25.
We're in 25.
Yeah,
It's
we're
not 24. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Episode 25. All right. Sounds good.
All right, so here we are, episode 25 of the Nut Club.
Episode 25. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Jordan.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We have our guest today, Jordan Knox.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man.
Appreciate it.
We've been chatting a little bit behind the scenes before. You know, you're an interesting guy. You got a lot of good stuff going on.
No, appreciate it.
It'll be a fun conversation.
Right on.
Awesome. So, Jordan, I'll have you kind of introduce yourself, kind of give us a brief background of, kind of an overall background for people who don't know anything about you.
All right, cool. Yeah. Jordan Knox, born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. Graduated from East High School. Almost got. But graduated from East in 2012. Transferred to Butler. Played baseball over there. Then I transferred to Arkansas, Pine Bluff. Small D1 down in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Came back home to Wichita. Got connected with baseball. Started coaching that. And started my training business. Was first called Fort Knox Fitness. Then now I rebranded and started a nonprofit as well as a training business called Untamed Athletes. So I do.
Awesome. And it's actually just like 500 yards away.
Yeah, I could have walked there. Yeah, literally right down the street.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Makes it super easy.
Real easy.
So anytime we need somebody and we're like last minute, you're the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Untamed Athletes, who do you work with at Untamed? Is it younger athletes? Is it college athletes? Like what kind of?
So Untamed Athletes, I mean, you hear athletes behind it, you just solely focus on athletes, but we work with anybody.
Anybody's an athlete.
Yeah.
That's
Anybody
really,
is truly an athlete. That's why I explain to people, not the ideal athlete, but everybody's an athlete. Everybody's doing something athletic throughout the day. But the main clientele that we have right now, we have baseball players, softball players, basketball, and football players, really checking all the boxes across the board with all the specialized trainers that we have in there as well.
So between baseball, softball, football, basketball, kind of on average,
Okay.
kind of who's the most hardcore when they're working out?
Hardcore?
Yeah, like pushes themselves past the limit. You know, it's really like.
Well, I got an athlete named Kyle Wilson.
Okay.
He's probably one of the toughest people I know, just because of what he's gone through.
Yeah.
So mental toughness, Kyle, and physical toughness, he has just pushed himself. I haven't found anybody I rebuttal on that. It's probably a tie between Kyle Wilson and Caveman Rickles.
Okay.
Those dudes had some motors.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, everybody's getting punched in the face. And keeps going for the most part. It's gotta
For
have
sure.
something just a little off inside their head.
Yes. But I really, no doubt. But man, K-Man's one of the nicest people I know too, man. So
For sure.
Yeah. But it really depends on the person.
Okay.
But my years of doing it, it's been Kyle and K-Man. I had crazy motors.
Yeah.
So,
just keep going, pushing and pushing.
yeah, for sure.
David Goggins stuff.
No,
Yeah.
literally.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. What brought you into the training aspect of everything? I mean, you played baseball and then you moved into training for baseball is what it sounded like.
Yeah. So originally I was formerly working under his name is Renee Palmer.
Yeah, I know him.
Fundamental fitness. Wanted to learn training because I was like, all right, this feels good myself. You know, going through the schools, lifting session, I was like, all right, this is not that great, you know. But when I went over to Renee my senior year, I was like, oh, I can really feel a difference, and I just kind of got addicted to the results. You know, getting stronger, getting faster, and I was like, okay, I see myself doing this, and I always liked to communicate with other athletes and other people. So that's kind of how I got my journey started. Hey, Renee, I want to do what you do. I was like 18. He's like, okay. But let's
Kinda-
learn.
kinda-
Come up with me to the gym, watch me train, watch how I
Kinda-
articulate, watch how I make adjustments, and any question you have, ask. So that's how I got my training journey started. Merely age of 18, just understudying him. Then when I would come back in the summer throughout college, he would let me, supervise, train people, and he would give us a suggestion. So almost like an unofficial internship.
Yeah.
So then I really got invested in it when I hurt my shoulder. So made a diving catch when I transferred down to Arkansas, and I ended up tearing my rotator cuff. Yeah. So had to get surgery, had to get 6 screws, and they were just telling me, the surgeon said I wouldn't be able to play ball no more. So I was like, ooh, wake-up call. So I was like, all right, what's plan B? If baseball doesn't work out, if I can't play anymore. So I was like, well, training will work. But while I was at Butler, I was also studying fire science. So I got my fire science degree, trying to be a firefighter, and I was tip for tap doing firefighting and training or trying to pursue baseball. And after I recover and everything, my trainer, the physical trainer down there in Arkansas, wasn't that great. And I was already in those classes, in the kinesiology classes down in Arkansas Palm, loved learning the body. And I was like, well, I'll be my own guinea pig. I'm red-shirted. I have all this time to myself. Let me really indulge and really take a deep dive in to the anatomy of the body. And I just started rehabbing myself, and it worked. I stepped back onto the field about 4 months earlier in protocol and didn't have any more complications after that. And played 2 healthy seasons after. I had 1 more to spare, but I decided to come back home and train because that was my passion. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make an impact at home versus trying to pursue, a professional career. And where I'm always away, I was ready to be back home and spend time with my family and build something with the knowledge that I get.
So with your shoulder, what was the approach that you took with your shoulder? Rehabbing it and strengthening it again. It was a lot of mobility.
It was mainly the mobility aspect, because that was the concern from the surgeon. He said, hey, we putting 6 screws in here. You might not have the ability to throw properly anymore. So I was like, okay. Well, I just focused really on internal rotation because that's where a lot of baseball players lack. We already have pretty good external, but internal rotation, that's what I really focused on during my rehabilitation process. So going rehab 3 times a day, stretching a lot, bending works, like just weight of manipulation, and I didn't want to quit playing ball, really.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of willpower and shoot. Thank the Lord, man. He was just looking over me during the whole interaction, mentally and physically, man. So it was really a blessing.
And so you've been able to take that in with the athletes that you work with, the regular people you work with too,
absolutely,
and start to figure out maybe the issues that they have that makes
I try to
her not move as well, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I try to use each experience I go through and try to prevent that from my athletes. So outside of my shoulder, I tore my Achilles, and and how I mentioned Kyle, he tore his Achilles.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, you're not gonna freak out. You're getting yours fixed. I didn't have surgery on that.
Oh, really?
So I just let it heal, did rehab on myself, and I still do rehab to this day for it. That way it's still strong, but I was able to help Kyle through his process.
Yeah.
And if I have an athlete that's, hey man, this is hurting, my hips is hurting, or my shoulders hurting, I have that, in my tool belt through experience to implement that and make sure that they're, filling up to par,
I tore my right bicep distal tendon.
Yeah.
2015 or so. I was carrying a treadmill in for it.
Sheesh, how did that feel?
I thought I broke my arm, to be honest.
Man.
It just snapped, and it was really loud when I heard it snap. And I was grabbed my arm. I was like, I didn't know what I did, because I was actually kind of maneuvering the treadmill with my knee behind my elbow, kind of trying to shove it around the corner. Stretched it a little bit too much. Whenever it was already, I think, micro tears, things like that had been building up, and it was just a storm.
You basically just armbar yourself, is what that sounds like?
Pretty much. Under a lot of tension. I was, holding the treadmill at the same time, so yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I got it reattached, and then, screwed through the forearm and everything. And then
how long was the rehab on that?
Man, they didn't even put me through any sort of PT here.
No PT.
the surgeon was just like, yeah, after, so long, first he wanted me in a sling for a month because he said that the tendon looked like the end of a mop head.
Yeah.
It was just torn in multiple places over and over. So they had, tie it all back together, put it back through the bone, and then anchor it at the bottom of the screw.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you tear it again, I don't think we're going to be able to fix it in, short term. So they're like, you got to baby this thing for a month. And so I had to wear a sling for a month and not use my arm. And then after that, he was like, all right, now you just slowly try to extend and just let the gravity take over. And he's like, just work on, stretching it out. And after, a certain period of time, okay, now you can grab a glass of water. And that was pretty much it. PT would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
I babied that thing so much when I was out of it because I never felt comfortable. I mean, it took years until I finally was like really lifting like I used to lift.
Right.
And I mean, it was mostly a mental.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing is mental.
And it never felt the same.
Yeah.
Never the same as it was. But, eventually I just like, all right, let's do this again, whatever it was. But it took me forever. So PT would have been a big help, to move through it.
Absolutely.
Actually,
I can imagine popping about. I hate doing all when I work out. So I can imagine just because it hurts. Like you feel biceps. Every time you do biceps, you feel it.
Yeah.
So that's my least favorite thing to do. So I can imagine tearing.
Yeah. No, I did bodybuilding for a long time and I ignored my mobility. So that's still a problem to this day. So it's kind of my focus these days. Getting more mobile and moving around and, not even as much lifting as much as it used to be.
Right. Is your shoulders good?
My shoulders are actually pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's my hips and my knees.
Hips and knees.
Yeah. Quad tendonitis, mostly from tight glutes, tight adductors, weak glutes.
Yeah.
So overuse my quads.
Yeah. Outside of bodybuilding, did you play any other sports?
I played football in high school.
Football?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Trinity.
Okay.
Trinity Academy. Yeah.
What class?
06.
Yeah. Steve, you don't know. Favorites. I think about it.
We started, it wasn't even a school football team at that point. In my sophomore year, we started a club team.
Okay.
So it was 8-man. So I played 8-man football my sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Cool.
It was fun. But they had me going both ways with linebacker and center.
Cool.
Yeah.
Linebacker and
It was
okay.
I was one of the few guys that could actually block and actually hike the ball.
Yeah.
So I ended up being the guy, hiking the ball and then, linebacker.
Right on.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah, man. I'm down.
Yeah. We were just talking about rehab. Can you tell us about how you were able to identify like maybe certain weaknesses in athletes or like an injury happens, like to try to work that into the program? I mean, I feel like you kind of saw that. I mean, like we're working up an existing injury and like prevention. So how do you go about that?
So how do I like modify on the spot and still get them?
Yeah.
Or how do I identify?
Both. How do you identify and then how do you then like put it into play?
Okay, so identify. That's tough. It was usually I always ask. So like during the warm up, I have you do. Well, you're a little bit different. I usually have you warm up on the soft ball, but usually with my athletes, I usually have them do something to wake up their brain and their body. So jumping jacks, something that activates the CNS, and I try to just give them my eye test, make sure everything's fine. Then I take them through mobility flow. If I see like resistance in that mobility flow when the whole body's moving, I start asking questions. So if I see a kid that is, the world's greatest stretch, everybody knows that stretch. So that's when you reach down, touch the ground, walk your hands out into a push-up position, take one of your legs or foot, put it out on the outside of your other hand. Okay. So if they cannot do that, I'm like, all right, we already got either tight hips, tight lower back, or no, flexibility in the hamstrings.
Yeah.
So I was there, especially on the way up. And if you can do a reverse movement clean, usually got good mobility. If you're trying to walk yourself up into that standing position and those knees bend, I'm like, all right, either lower back, especially to the hamstrings, are weak or, tight. So usually I use the warm-up to identify, elements within my athletes. But a lot of my athletes are vocal, which is good, especially being a coach. Hey, let me know if you're hurting. Let me know when you get hurt, especially when you get hurt. That's not in the weight room. That way we can put a plan together to strengthen, like what Brock, he had, what is it, ankle? It was an ankle, wasn't it? So when we're doing ankle work, we can still strengthen those muscles, because movement is medicine. You know, we can stabilize, make sure those tendons are strong and everything. But I try to use, and that was the beauty thing about working. Like he had, not only was he good at, you know, building a body up, he was good at almost doing rehab work too. So I got to learn how to do a lot of corrective exercises underneath his belt. But it's fun. If you're a strength coach, you got to know how to get people stronger and help them with the, you know, the rehab process. That way you're just not boxing yourself in. You know, see more people that, you know, that doesn't end the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And make sure those athletes are not taking time off and continuing to get stronger and, you know, trusting themselves that it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So you said you also set up your Untamed Athletes as a charity?
So, yeah, we got two different sides. So we have a for-profit operating side where we run a training business, and we have a 501c3. And the 501c3, we work with at-risk youth. Yeah, at-risk youth, we just try to go into the schools and we identify who needs a little bit more attention. Then we mentor them through the weight room and sports. So we usually meet a couple of times out the week if we're not at the schools. So we have two different programming with the nonprofit. So we have in-school daytime programming when we go to the schools. We're partnered with Bryant Opportunity Academy, Wells Alternative School, Chester Lewis, Brooks, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 and potentially 2 more. 2 more schools on the contract, as well as we have an after-school portion of it. That's when we hand select the kids that have gotten into a little bit of trouble, or we can see that they're on that road of getting in trouble, and you try to deter them, you know, through positive outlet. Around, you know, good role models, other kids that's trying to find their way, social outings, just really giving them a place where they can know they're going to eat, they're going to work out, they're going to have fun, but also these coaches are here to hold you accountable behaviorally and academically.
How'd you get started in that?
So that's funny. I just actually answered this question like 2 weeks ago. I could talk about it for hours how I got started. So really, I truly got the idea I got the idea in high school. Just, you know, going to East, you know, the population at East just is a very diverse, you know, very diverse crowd. And you got some friends that focus, and you got some friends that are halfway focused, and you got some friends that are totally not focused. You know, they get caught up in the wrong things. And I had about a handful of buds that could have been professional anything. You know, if they would have stayed focused. And I'm just thinking, man, what are they doing where they can't see how gifted they are? You know, maybe they just don't have somebody tell them outside of their friends, you know, buddy to buddy. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm good. I know I can do this in high school, but I'm rethinking past. So maybe they just don't have anybody in their ear. And, you know, along with me rehabbing, I had the idea because, like I mentioned before, I need a plan B. But I got the confirmation when I moved back home and I was working as a para at East before I started teaching. And there's this kid that was really, really intrigued with the movie Creed. So he was intrigued with the movie Creed, which made him more interested in working out. And he knew I owned the gym. So he would just ask, hey, what do I need to do to get my chest bigger, my arms bigger, or my legs bigger, or faster? And I was like, well, try this out. And, you know, let me know when your waist class is, because the kid I was supposed to be watching, he wasn't there. No, a lot because he was in trouble. So I would have like some freedom to float around. And just let me know when your waist class is, and I come watch. And he was a strong kid, just naturally strong kid. Then he got into an incident and suffered some TBI, some traumatic brain injury. And it dropped him down, you know, like 5 grade levels reading, man, and everything. So I was like, okay. He went out of school for, say, about a month, 2 months, just because he was recovering. And when he came back, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to take you to my gym. We're going to do our homework, work out. Right? Just make sure you stay on focus. So he was under my belt for about, say, 5 months. And
kind of, kind
I
of,
believe they said it was the second grade reading level he dropped right down to. He was able to graduate after sustaining that injury just because he had people in his corner. So,
Yeah.
like, he would come down to the gym and my wife
kind
would
of,
help him with homework, and I would help him with homework, and my other friends would help him with homework, and he would work out with us and go to the movies with us and take him to dinner. And I realized that all he wanted was friends, like real good friends, you know? And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this can work, especially after I saw him walk across the stage. And I was like,
kind of,
okay, I think I can do this. So
kind of,
after that,
kind
uh,
of,
kind of
kind of,
blew up really fast. And here we
kind of,
are,
yeah,
you know, serving kids across the city,
kind of,
across different, you know, facilities and government
kind of,
entities. We get referrals from JDF,
yeah, kind of,
District Attorney's Office, as well as Seventh Direction. And right now we
kind of,
got
kind
more
of,
kids than we can, you know, serve
kind of,
in the
yeah,
right way. So I want to do some reprogramming where we're not turning away so many kids just because the
kind of,
time and the effort it takes. We tried to serve a couple of years back, like 10 kids at the time, but those 10 kids,
kind
we
of,
got some change, but
kind of, kind of,
no,
kind of,
we got really good change. But I felt like
kind of,
10 is too many if you really want that, you know, life
kind of,
changing, you know, positive change. You just really got to build relationships. So less is more
yeah,
when you know, doing a mentorship.
yeah,
How'd you get started with the 501c3? You know,
How'd I
like
get?
figuring all that stuff out.
Well, I was actually pitching. uh, I just
kind of,
saw him at Trader Joe's not too long ago. I was pitching Roger Haynes. Uh, he's well
kind
known
of,
around here. I think he owns a couple of joint chiropractors out here.
yeah,
But I was pitching
kind of,
him to be a sponsor or try to find sponsors to watch this. And he was like, man,
kind
as
of,
well as trying to have a multi-purpose gym. Uh, Still trying to get there, but
yeah,
luckily we got the space down here and we doing what we doing, and God has been good. And we're gonna keep on, hopefully growing. But he gave me the idea, hey, why don't you
kind of,
try to do it this way?
kind
I
of,
was like, hey, you know
kind
what?
of,
That does make sense.
yeah,
And
kind of,
I mean,
kind of,
I haven't looked back. You know?
yeah,
So I mean, it's been
kind of,
awesome, you know, trying to, you know, doing that work. And the crazy thing about it, like really just getting started on
yeah,
it because I haven't had a really,
kind of,
you know,
kind
haven't
of,
had the time to actually go 100% at it because I was teaching while everything was trying to build. So I'm ready to build it now. So it's
Yeah.
something.
And so you have different people or organizations that donate to you that can help
Mhm.
build that up.
Absolutely.
Potentially, the more
kind of,
you find in that area, the faster this program can
Yeah.
grow
Yeah,
and take
absolutely.
off.
Absolutely. So right now we got a staff of 3.
Yeah.
And 3 is really good because we got 3 different personalities. More of the laid back but
kind of,
goofy one. I can really interact with the kids. Then we have
kind of,
Coach Albert. He's
kind
really
of,
blunt. He's gonna tell you how it is right there. And then we got Jack that's like a reassurer and he'll, you know, hey man, it's okay, but you was stupid. You know what I'm saying? So we got 3 different dynamics that work really well.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, that sounds like that would be a pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. I like it. A lot of people were like, well, you finally get to
kind of,
train full time. I was like, well, I've always been training, but I'm really passionate about helping the next
Yeah.
guy up, you know, and just extending that, you know,
kind of,
that philanthropy and just making sure our community.
Yeah.
So that's really why I'm most passionate.
do you get anything out of like the challenge aspect of it? Like the challenge that
I like
each
the
client,
challenge. You know, I really like
kind of,
the
kind of,
challenge of trying to understand what that kid is going through
Yeah.
and meeting them where they're at and trying to figure out what motivates them, what,
kind
you
of,
know, what pisses them off, and like how to
kind of,
use that to my advantage as a coach. I joke about it all the time when I tell them during the interview, I said, I'm a Jedi mind trick. You know what I'm saying? So like I ask aggressive questions during the interview process. I ask aggressive questions to the parents. I really want the parents to feel it because
kind of,
they're under their house.
Yeah.
So my job is not to parent your kid, it's
Yeah.
to help you. So you gotta have some accountability too. So
Yeah.
I ask very challenging questions and try to get them to open up and tell
Kinda-
me what's really the problem without me telling them what's the problem. So when we do our interviews, I have each kid tell me, why did we end up here? What did you do to get in the trouble? So they can identify that problem.
Yeah.
Then once they identify it and understand and take some self-accountability, you start to see that shift because you see him do like, okay, yeah, it was stupid. Why did he ask? You know what I'm saying? So like most people just, you stupid, you shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I don't know why you did.
For sure.
You know? So
Yeah.
it's always a why.
Yeah.
You know, kids do stuff because there's a reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Either somebody's telling them to do something, either they're hungry, either they need some clothes, you know, so it's always a reason.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, motivation there. Yeah, that makes sense.
That care for kids seemed like it was already there, like previously before that individual. So where do you think that care for kids came from? Was that just like something you always had, like growing up and whatnot? Or
Man, I really think, and what's funny, I think it's like almost like heredity. You know what I'm saying? My mom's a school teacher. My grandmother's a school teacher. So I'm the third generation teacher.
Okay.
And my great grandfather, he was really good with kids. And I think I just got a gift. I'm just slowly starting to realize I can relate and kind of identify what kid needs help and try to help him the best way I can.
Yeah. That's
So far with what you've seen of kids and whatnot, what age would you say is like the most impactful? Like kind of what age range, or you see like the most like impactful range to be able to get involved in the
So
kids'
when
life?
we first started, we just targeted high school kids. High school kids are tough because they're already, you can get a high school kid to change his thinking, but the younger is the most impressive. High school kids, they're already in their cliques, already stuck in their ways a little bit unless they have a huge, wake-up call. But the most impressionable age I've noticed has been, 10 years. 10 years old to about 14, 15.
Yeah.
So we can get them at 10, carry them up to 14, 15. Hey, we're going to give you some space.
Yeah.
Then revisit us. But I would like to see a kid from 10 all the way until they graduate. Yeah. That's what type of sustainability and longevity I want.
Yeah.
Great with my case.
So my oldest is 14, and I have a 11, almost 12-year-old, and then a 9. So three boys.
Oh, cool.
And that's I thought back to it myself, and I'm like, the toughest age is middle school.
Yeah.
Like middle school is the age where all the people have problems, and everybody starts forming the way that they're responding to adversity, responding to their peers. The bullying is like, way worse in middle school than it ever was high school or anything previous. So I think that correlates a lot with what you're talking about.
Absolutely, man. And if you pay attention to the news, man, that's most of the kids getting shot and killed or getting involved in, the gun violence here in Wichita. So, like, we can really get a hold of that, that 5th grade to 8th grade.
Yeah.
Really born to get a lot of that stuff.
It's crazy.
Our what is it? Our main doctor of the United States, the
Surgeon General.
Surgeon General, yeah. So our Surgeon General just made gun violence a national health hazard, basically.
Yeah.
Declared it. So do you see a lot of that within our youth these days? Just because, like, I'm separated from it, and like I didn't really I grew up kind of in Valley Center, so it's kind of on the outskirts, kind of more country. So there wasn't really any instances of that where I grew up. So I know it's here, but I don't see it that much. Are you like kind of seeing that a lot with a lot of the youth you work with?
Yeah. One case, and I try to keep everything, discretion as possible. Man, we had a kid, his house got shut up about 3 times in my stand.
Crazy.
And the kid had other, gun violence victims and family members victims, and to the late, one of our kids that was in our program actually was shot and killed.
Really?
Yeah. Messed up by one of our previous kids that was in the program. So that hit us pretty hard because they were right there in front of my face, and losing 2 kids at one time.
Yeah.
Hits you a little bit. No, we see it. As a staff, try to move as safe as we can because, the job comes with some risk.
Yeah.
But the kids, we see it, and we see how it affects the kids and everybody around them and how they look. So,
it's crazy that becomes such a problem.
Yeah. And I blame kids blame two things. I blame Grand Theft Auto, the video game, and social media. And I believe those are the two things. Social media glorifying, the gangs and thinking it's cool. And a lot of these kids see, hey, well, this is from my face, power marketing. That shit is cool and so many things they see. So that's what they want to do. Then you got a video game, promoting crime and so
True.
So they play it at home and think it's cool.
That's true. I used to play Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. I played it once and I was like, man, that ain't sitting right with me.
I didn't play any of the new ones. It was Vice City back in the day.
Vice City.
In the 80s or whatever. You just ran over people. But the cops should come after you. And you just run away, the cops shoot you.
You ever play that game with a woman? Because I played it with my wife before, and the way we approach it is completely differently. Yeah, because she'll go and try to do all the missions and whatnot, actually try to play the game.
Yeah.
And I'm just beat up, stealing cars, trying to get through the cops on me and whatnot. So I'm just that's kind of funny, the psychology behind it. Do you think it desensitizes us to that aspect, or at least desensitizes kids to that and whatnot? Because
but you think it actually causes motivation for it too, though?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I worked at I've been a school teacher.
Yeah.
And I worked at alternative school settings. So we have behavioral kids and kids that just have learning needs, behavior needs, and I'm like, hey, you have free time today. And I really use free time to my advantage. So I would just watch how the kids would play. And recently it's been Demon Slayer. Okay. So they would emulate, them fighting with swords and things like that, as well as GTA.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, we can't play with guns.
Yeah.
So they literally they do what they see. Like you see, like you do.
Yeah.
So
True.
even though in their free time, they play like that.
Yeah. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, GTA is not a young kid's game.
No, it's not. No.
Like my kids would never touch GTA.
Yeah.
My 14-year-old, sorry, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would be.
Mm-hmm. So a big thing, and it's obviously still a big deal now, but it was especially bigger when I was younger, was school shootings and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on how schools handle that protocol and kind of going through all of it? And they always bring up the example of the kids in the 80s or who had to do all the drills on their tables for the nukes when we had the Cold War for Russia, kind of desensitized them to the aspect of that. Do you feel like that has anything to do with it too? The gun violence, school shootings?
I just think people who shoot up schools is sick anyways. But
I think there's you said social media already. I think there's a glorification of what somebody does and those things. Not maybe they take his glory, but your name gets spread. What happened and things like that get attention.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of attention
behind it. Yeah. I think so, man. It's just sick, but we would have to practice, active shooting drills after school, and we would have to get behind. They have special locks. It's a red key. Lock the door. Can't nobody come in. Can't come out. But it's just crazy that we gotta, practice that, but school should be a safe place.
No, 100%. And I think, and that's it's hard because that was one of the things that, especially going into college, I was always concerned about, was because I went to KU and a lot of political chargedness within topics and whatnot. So that was always something I always considered was what if somebody does this? I feel like it A, distracts away from the education in the first place, and B, desensitized to that, especially with social media. You have the complete push of morals away from the household and onto the phone, and parents are putting their kids on tablets, social media sooner and sooner and sooner. So my nephews are 9 and they've been on their tablets for years now, ever since I can remember. So you can't get away from it, because at least you can get away from it, because I was in a weird area where I got half my school experience without a cell phone and the other half with. And then that comes into bullying at home and whatnot. So kids in your program, do you see a lot of issues with
It's just
uh,
great. It's just great.
issues following him like home and whatnot, just due to having those social media and cell phones?
Oh yeah, for sure. Shoot, it creates problems at school too.
Yeah.
You know, like we said, we served wells, and that was like one of our biggest issues. Like they would act fine, you know, when Coach Jack would go out there with in the group,
It's just
he
great.
would, you know, get on those kids. Hey, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Y'all need to quit. They'll be fine for the hour and the rest of school. Then they start chirping on Snapchat again and bring,
Yep.
you know, bring the crap to school, and now
Yep.
that's cool. So I mean, it's just great. Yeah, I mean, social medias and people got to hide behind the screen. You know how we were raised. You got a problem with somebody, share your thoughts.
Yeah.
If it escalates, you handle it this way. You know,
Yeah.
man to man. If it's done, once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, and you build from that. Either you don't like the person afterwards, or you just keep it distant. But it's just great. And I think the embarrassment of, and I think that's why so much gun violence, the embarrassment of getting beat up on camera. You know, it's just great kids. You know, and it's just great. It's just social media is a blessing and a curse. Yeah, but it's just great. Used wrong is terrible.
They've got, I mean, study after study showing that bad.
Yeah.
You know, just study, like there's no question. Social media. Yeah, I'm not huge on the government doing things and stepping in most of the time. But,
Yeah.
you know, the social media companies themselves could
It's just great.
allow kids
Yeah.
social media, and it would solve a huge amount of the problems.
Absolutely.
You know, and that would just be no social media if you're under 18.
That's it.
You know, and that's really Instagram, Facebook, you know, Snapchat. You got to verify with the driver's license. It's really
Yep.
not that hard.
It's not.
But
It's just
obviously, it's huge difference in marketing potential for them, and
Mhm.
you know the way that they also can influence. I do think they like the influence they get of the
Absolutely.
crowd,
Mhm.
and so they want it both ways. But you know, it's very clear that
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't let my kids on social media at this point in time.
What
So,
what I think is under discussed is how much kids are put into a box and made to like sit still and like have to do things, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't speak for women because I've never felt like what it's like to go through like the puberty process as a woman, but as a man, like there's a lot of steam to blow off almost. So I feel like with what you're doing with offering exercise, and I'm sure you see a complete change in attitude. Like let's say somebody comes in after a bad day, they've been picked on and whatnot, and they're out to get somebody, and then they go through a workout, and they don't really have the motivation to do that anymore
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's what's not considered is that you have a lot of these men going through puberty, a lot of emotion, feeling there's no source for any of this stuff to get let out.
Yeah.
So it just like kind of festers and percolates and kind of gets worse and worse and worse until you kind of see what's going on here. So yeah, have you noticed a difference in the behavior of kids before having consistent exercise versus after?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a perfect example, a participant that was in our program when he first came in, didn't talk, not much at all, but he was good at lifting. So he was a naturally strong kid, but you can tell when he had a bad day, then he would go absolutely crazy in the weight room. Then after the workout, he'll start talking, joking around. I'm like, okay, picking up on his, on his pattern. So we kept him a little bit longer, and he just needed time. He just needed to be on a routine, getting picked up. Hey, I know I'm going to work out. He worked out twice. He had a weight class at school, and he knew he was coming to work out again. So he just had his outlet. Then he said the same thing to coach. I like working out. I was like, okay, well, we need to find you an outlet when you're at home. Now that you're off of probation, let's figure out what we can do with that energy instead of going, hopping in somebody's car and getting into trouble.
Yeah.
He got himself a weight bench, got himself bars, some dumbbells. Now he's getting ready to play for Northwest football. So, he's made a complete shift just because, having that consistent, a routine. And we also opened up some of our participants to that consistent MMA. We partnered with 316 for a short period of time, and we would, hey, y'all come in and hold the mitts with us and hold it for our boys. Then if we find a kid that's like gravitating to it, it's okay. Can they tag along with Coach Albert? He goes and runs over there at 316 with them, and he would pick up kids and take them to practice. And yeah, I mean, kids just boys, not all kids really, but you really see it in that age group, 10 to 14, 15.
Yeah.
They need to be physical
For sure.
and it allows them to level themselves.
Yeah.
Even with girls now, you see like instances like that just happened in our city where those two girls allegedly threw acid on that other girl's face.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, where you're like seeing kids led to violence in that way. That's horrible.
Yeah. That was one of my wife's former students.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nuts.
No,
Yeah.
because I saw that now. Like, there's this app, Wichita News Network thing I follow
Yeah.
on Facebook, and I saw like the 911 call, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's horrible.
It's nuts.
Yeah, so
I mean, even that somebody would go to that point. It's really, I mean, it's definitely shows the mental state that people are in.
Yeah.
You want to ruin somebody's life for the rest of their life just because some sort of tiff, something small.
Something small.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that where like you're seeing like the increased violence to women too, and I think that leads directly back to the social media thing about not wanting to get beat up on camera or like not wanting to get someone get one over on you in public and whatnot. So I think it's almost like that. It's the same pride we've always had, right? Because if you were to do something like that 100, 200 years ago, embarrass somebody in public, you'd have similar repercussions or whatever, like whether it be a altercation or whatnot. But I think people get so comfortable behind their phones and they start trying to like, they let all this stuff fester and they go and do it in person and it just becomes horrible stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it goes to a level that it would not go to.
Right.
Social media allows people to keep shit talking back and forth. You say stuff that you would probably never say, and other people around you just like you're saying this stuff. There's no check, there's no reality check. Instead, on social media, kids are jumping in, bullying them with them, and piling on almost that dog pile mentality. So,
Do
you work with a lot of at-risk youth, like women as well, along with boys?
I haven't. Well, at the school, when I was working at the school, we had small like niche of girls there, but they were tough.
Yeah,
they are sweethearts, man. Most of them, most of the kids I was working with at the schools came up through the foster care system. So we have our occasional, but with the after school program, I have not targeted females just because we don't have a lot of female representation in our staff, and just got to be careful
for sure.
But yeah, if there is a chance, I would, grow to that. Absolutely.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. With going back to the ones that you worked with at school, and the ones that are tough and whatnot, do you kind of see like almost like a mama bear instinct kind of kick in? Like they have a lot going on at home, and so they try to, protect the people they have at home and whatnot, and that's what kind of makes them so tough almost.
And I say tough in the sense as once you get them to that point, all right, no mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Right. They're still girls and they're still, gonna be sweethearts and want to talk about this down the third. That's all girl related. But like you said, I think it's more or less, I don't know, not having a consistent good role model. Because when those girls, they find their person, they find that person in that building and they cling to that. So they cling to that, that motherly figure in the school, try to get it at school while they are there. Same with like, they find both of their people. So they're in a foster care and they find their mom and they find their dad within this. They kind of cling. Sorry.
Like either like men or boys are kind of more looking for like kind of like a sense of direction or like a sense of father figure when they come in, at that age.
Depending on the kid, they look for like I said, most of them have been DCF, but I was able to establish a lot of good relationships with the male students I had, especially being a PE teacher. Playing games with them and messing around with them. But I say they look without knowing, because when you try to help them, direct them, that at that age they get, man, get off me, but they want to hear, correction and direction, because once you give it to them, they listen.
Yeah,
it just takes breaking down that wall, emotions and everything, because they might get talked to crazy out of the house, and there might be a trauma trigger. Then after that, once you get down that wall, you can articulate the lesson. They listen, and they give you a sense of respect, and yeah, it's cool. They just in my gym, I had 3 simple rules: no cussing, no violence, and no disrespect. And I would articulate that time at a time, at the time, at the time, eventually until when they knew when they were in the gym, oh, I cuss. You know, I'm sitting on the wall for a little bit.
Yeah.
If I hit somebody, I might get kicked out of class. If I'm disrespectful, I might sit on the wall. So eventually it just changed.
Yeah.
One, when they were in the gym. Now, when they left the gym, I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah, they might get into some trouble then, but like they understood. And
Yeah.
they liked it.
Well,
Structure.
we have a different face for people.
Yeah. For
Friends,
sure.
our parents, business. It's like there's a different persona.
So, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how high up do you go in age? Like, do you ever work with like maybe somebody that might not have gotten that guidance through like their high school years and kind of continued on, and then like we're kind of coming to it like under like a young adults almost, like you work with young adults ever, or like
If one needs help,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't mind helping young adults. First we were scared to go. We were just talking at 18 to 23.
Mhm.
Then I was like, that's okay, but we need to get where the problem is. But if a kid needs help, a kid needs help.
Yeah.
And especially during, the ages of 20 to 30,
yeah.
you trying to figure everything out, you know?
Right. And that's kind of why I asked,
Yeah.
because you see this like pandemic of like young men kind of not knowing purpose, what to do,
Yeah.
or any of that. And you see a lot of like extortion on like programs on like, oh, how to do this or how to do that, or like Tate University or something.
Yeah, what's that? What's that university?
Like the Andrew Tate kind of stuff that he has. You pay like $50
okay.
a month to
Yeah.
like a top G or whatever.
For sure. Yeah, okay.
Everybody's searching for something.
Yeah,
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
In everybody's life. And we're all, and especially I think social media has really amplified a lot of this stuff, but all throughout history, it's always been the same. You look at the great religions, throughout time, there's always been this warning of, money, fame, and sex.
Yeah.
These are the 3 biggest, temptations in life. And that's, really, if you look at social media, money, fame, and sex are what drives popularity on social media and makes somebody be such a influential character. They got a lot of money, they got a lot of clout or status in some other way, or they've, or sex symbol or something like that, and they all play together, obviously. And I think that's always been the drives in life for people, but social media is putting it on overdrive.
Yeah.
So an Andrew Tate is like, hey, here's how you get rich. Here's how you have status.
Sure.
And then through these 2 things, here's how you get women. And so all 3 play together. But I think that's being driven more by social media than ever. And everybody's looking for a direction in their life. And if you're not careful, those are the directions that guide your life, rather than any other purpose that you could have, be it, God being your purpose, or being, working and making a difference in other people's lives and things like that. You're just driven towards these 3, great temptations. So that's one of the biggest problems that's been throughout all history.
Yeah.
Social media was on the biggest pedestal we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people always partied when they're old, but I feel like they do it a lot more now.
Yeah.
Now, like it's continued on to just kind of be like an acceptable thing just to do it. I agree. Like, and that's kind of why I asked, because the ideal is like Andrew Tate or whatnot would be like quite opposite of what you would like. I would feel like you would be teaching, which would be, accountability, exercise, like relationships with people, stuff like that. So that's kind of why I asked if you did like young adults, because I see the potential for that, especially what you do. Well, like Jared said, all the people who are lost and chasing what social media pushes out to make you happy with reality. We all know that even thousands and thousands and thousands of year old books will tell you that these things aren't going to make you happy. Which,
yeah.
So
it's ironic. We all chase this happiness in these different areas. It's like we see people that have these, and they're not happy. You see the celebrities that end up killing themselves or whatever it is. You see all the people you see the guys with supermodel girlfriends and wives that cheat on them for somebody else. It's obvious these things are not the answers to life, but we still get some.
Yeah.
So,
can you tell people where to find you?
You want to find me?
Yeah, where to find you?
Social media. Yeah. Social media. You can follow me on Instagram, Coach Knox, Coach Knox UA.
Yeah.
Then we have a Facebook page, new Facebook page, Untamed Athletes. Then Find me at 8625 East 37th Street, Suite 400. Yeah, Suite 400.
Awesome, man. It was a great chat, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It was real cool. Yeah, first podcast, man. So,
Yeah, dude.
yeah, man, I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Appreciate
y'all, man.
This was great.
Yeah.
And we'll have to have you on again.
Right on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Pleasure.
Any last words?
Huh?
No.
Not really. Just get your
I had a
work done.
podcast. I had a podcast one, guys. Like, I'm going to let you either give me your best joke or your best piece of advice. I'm like, man, you're putting me on the spot. Like, you didn't even tell me this was coming.
Yeah, right.
So I figured I'd extend the same thing. Best joke or best piece of advice?
Best sugar piece of advice. I said best piece of advice is really just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, man. You gotta keep going, and no matter how low you get, you just gotta remain focused on your goal.
Yeah.
My life has taught me that. Remain focused on your goal, remain focused on God, and everything will work itself out.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep going.
Yeah. Awesome. Good butt.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks
Episode 25.
Thanks for breaking out the Netflix.
That's right.